the Big Mountain has a Mountain West update, including comments from Commissioner Nevarez, and Washington State joins as an affiliate member.
College football and college athletics are always in the news. So we're back on the Big Mountain to bring you a detailed focus on the Big Ten and the Mountain West.
Hey, great to have you here on the Mountain again, Steve. We're going to do a Mountain West focused episode. Commissioner Nevarez had an interview not too long ago. I want to touch on some of what she said, not everything, but the parts that are meaningful here to us on the Big Mountain. I also want to talk about a Washington State affiliate membership agreement with the Mountain West for two more sports, baseball and women's swimming. So we'll get to that at the end. But Nevarez had a interview with Mr. Wilner, as we know. I always follow him. He does a good job, getting some interviews, and one was with Gloria Nevarez. First, I want to talk about just her overall comments on the state of the Mountain West Conference. So she says that she feels they are on really good trajectory right now with everything that's happened in the environment. She mentions that before the transfer portal, the league would find good diamonds in the rough or cultivate great talent, and they'd be gone. So this isn't a new thing for G5 conferences, and of course we're talking about the Mountain West, but this has happened throughout history, even pre-transfer portal stuff. So not really a new thing. Maybe happening more often now, but again, not a new thing. Her comments here: we develop talent through higher education. We are living the mission, and we always reload. She noted that half of the football coaches this year are going to be new, but the AD room is very talented. She stated, it's incredibly talented. When you are in this type of environment, you get a lot of people that are comfortable with innovation. They are comfortable with change. They aren't super high risk takers, but they are a little more risk tolerant than I have seen in other conferences. And remember, before joining the Mountain West, she had been with both the PAC and the West Coast Conference. So she has history being within multiple different conferences here. She's also is saying it is both super fun and super scary at the same time, but she feels, quote, this league is built to withstand this. Very positive comments from her. I know we've always been impressed with her. So again, it's feeling pretty good. They went on then to talk about the G5 college football playoff spot. And her comments here, I'm going to get to them, but they very much are in line with what we have been saying about this spot. Maybe not too surprising, but it's always good to hear a decision maker kind of think the way we have been thinking on this. So one of the items she spoke to was something, again, that we have been talking about, this playoff spot. Nevarez stated that the G5 spot in the college football playoff was the piece that was most important was access. We've been saying that. This gives them access to the playoff. And what more can you ask for? Yep. Yes, it's one spot. It's a hell of a lot better than no spot.
Absolutely.
And as you've said before, it's a chip in a chair, right? Yep. Somebody's going to get a chip in a chair. The top 5 conference champions right now, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, and a top 5 or a top G5 school are your guaranteed spots. Yeah. I mean, that's one of 5. Right. I mean, again, pretty awesome.
Only 5 guaranteed spots.
Only 5 guaranteed spots. So, yeah. And so anyway, she goes on to say this is something we were aiming for, that we worked for, that we've talked about, and that we hope to position for. And so, Steve, we've had comments on this, like I said, for many, many episodes, many, many months. And this is huge for the G5 in terms of what they're trying to get at. This is a great importance for them to have this. It's a huge deal. So, what are your thoughts? I know we've mentioned them before, but I want to hear what you have to say. She's saying, quite frankly, again, that chip in a chair thing. Very, very happy. They just want access.
Yeah, I would say I continue to be impressed with Commissioner. It's Nevarez, not Navarre. Nevarez, yeah. I continue to be very impressed with Commissioner Nevarez. I think for one of the classic G5 conferences, I think she has some of the best experience, the best forward thinking. just that combination. So I'm always impressed with her whenever she's interviewed, and I think she's really grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Some of these commissioners, they have all this big talk and they just look like idiots. No one takes them seriously. You know, kind of like the Big 12 commish sometimes, whatever. But I think she understands the reality of the Mountain West and the good and the bad.
Sure.
So I'm always impressed with her, and I agree with her 100%. We've been saying this. You know, that was a huge moment for the G5 overall, and specifically, I think, the Mountain West to get that guaranteed spot in the college football playoff when they expanded to 12 and did their extension. I think it's just fantastic. It's a great opportunity. We've talked about Boise State, but honestly, I think there's a handful of Mountain West schools that are really well positioned, not only this year, but as I look the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you know, San Diego State as they rebuild themselves, UNLV last year, you know, went on a great run, right. San Jose State, you know, I'm a big believer in Fresno, and you have Boise, and really any of the Mountain West schools that can go on a run, but I think that they really have a great opportunity, the way their schedules align, and with them combining schedules for the next couple of years with the remaining Pac-2, I think that strengthens their opportunity. So to me, it's a super exciting time for the Mountain West. I mean, really an exciting time for college football going to this 12-team playoff. But to me, the people who are really benefiting, the G5, because they're not just competing for a New Year's Six Bowl now, they're competing to get in the real thing, the tournament. So to me, it's just awesome and really exciting time for the Mountain West.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked before, you know, can the Mountain West obtain that spot? And you just mentioned the schools, you know, going into next year, we kind of have Boise as the front runner right now. They've got some very difficult out-of-conference games. And yes, both the Beavs and the Cougs are out-of-conference games, even though there's this scheduling agreement or affiliation agreement. But, you know, they got Oregon State, and Washington State all on their docket. So while we like their chances, they got a tough test. We also think Fresno State has an outside chance. And after seeing what UNLV did, you know, I'm a big believer in Odom. Now they're gonna have to hope one of these FCS quarterbacks can carry the load here. I'm maybe a little bit hesitant on that, but we'll see. So there's definitely some chances here with the Mountain West. And Nevarez actually comments on that. And she says, we're building a competitive strategy around that spot, but we won't comment on specifics. That's the secret sauce, she says. We spend a lot of time talking about that as a conference. So again, as we've said, huge thing here for all Group of Five, and specifically the Mountain West is taking it extremely seriously to try and obtain that spot.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is the Mountain, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, is the Mountain West, are they getting rid of the divisions this year, or are they still going to have divisions? Do we know that?
There's no divisions.
Okay, so
there's no divisions.
Okay. So my guess on that, of what she's talking about, is the conference, especially with no divisions, the conference really has an opportunity. And I don't want this to sound like I'm saying they can rig the game, because that's not what I'm saying. They can be very strategic in how they set up the schedule.
Yes.
You see other conferences doing this.
Yes.
Where, you know, we can set it up where, you know, we can have certain programs play each other, certain programs not play each other. When you get in those divisions, we saw a really imbalanced schedule with the Big Ten, where every single year in the Big Ten you had, you know, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, all three playing each other in the regular season. So then they couldn't play each other in the Big Ten championship game. Where the Mountain West right now, without having divisions, they can really set up their schedule to give themselves, their power programs, the best kind of path to get two power programs facing off in the championship game, which just gives them the best opportunity to get that G5 spot. And then you can combine that with conference marketing.
Yes.
You know, they can market their marquee players. We talked about Genty and maybe a Heisman Trophy campaign. You can market those marquee teams that have a really good chance. So I'm excited to see what they do there, because they have an opportunity to really align themselves to compete for that spot.
For sure. Certainly breaking with the divisions, I think, is one thing she's maybe talking about. Now, that happened obviously pre-getting the spot, but we all kind of knew that was hopefully coming. We didn't have the agreement, but there was a lot of chatter that there was going to be this G5 spot. So I think that was part of it. Certainly their scheduling within the Mountain West.
Yes.
The Mountain West makes their schedule.
Yes.
And again, they try to be fair. They try to make it equal. But at the same time, if they've got a couple teams that they want to make sure they're pushing for that spot, they can do some things to try and help that a little bit, right?
And the other conferences are doing it. So
Absolutely.
if you're not having forward thinking and strategic vision, you're missing out.
So the next thing she talked about was a potential partnership with the American Athletic Conference as the gatekeepers to the Group of Five. I've been very clear. To me, the Mountain West and the American are the top two conferences within the Group of Five. That's not a knock. I know the Sun Belt's right there. I'll probably get some grumbles from Sun Belt fans, but I do agree that the American and the Mountain West, in total, I'm not talking just football, in total as a conference, absolutely carries the weight here for the G5. She mentioned that she had just met the new AAC commissioner, Tim Pernetti. So again, he's new. They're starting a relationship. She said that the leagues have a lot in common and a lot of likeness, but they're nowhere near a partnership yet of that type of degree. She mentioned that the economics are going to continue to change moving forward. Survive and advance seems to be what the schools of the conference have gotten accustomed to. The last thing she mentioned with football here was, again, they asked, of course, about the OSU, WSU football schedule, which we all obviously know about. She didn't have a lot to say, but did state that everything is set, ready to go, and to view these games, as we've said, as non-conference games. They don't count towards the conference in-league schedule or conference schedule and championships and anything like that. So we've already known they're non-league games, out-of-conference games. And the PAC will still operate their own officiating and have their own conference operations. And, of course, we know they're going to have their own broadcasting schedule. We're actually going to get a PAC update tomorrow as well. We're going to talk about this a little bit because we're talking about the Beavs and the Cougs, and we like to keep our PAC, especially our Beavs and Cougs fans, happy and got to keep them up to date. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Anything on those two items before I get to the last item, which is the Washington State affiliate membership?
Yeah, I would just say, as far as some kind of a strategic partnership with the AAC, when you look at it at face value, you think, okay, they're so far apart, and they've really focused on regionality.
Yes.
And so I think for most of the regular season, with the agreement they have with Washington State and Oregon State, all that fits under the regionality. But I can definitely see some kind of a scenario where you maybe have a half dozen games each year where some of the top Mountain West teams play some of the top AAC teams, and the good thing about that for the Mountain West, I think, would be that allows you to have some differentiation.
Yes.
So you can say, hey, Boise went and they played this team and they beat them.
Right.
So when you get to that college football playoff committee, they have like some common opponents or similar opponents that they can compare, because it's so hard to compare. You compare a school like Liberty, they play an ridiculously easy schedule where they are, and then you compare a Mountain West team, it's really hard to compare. But if you can get a half dozen Mountain West teams each year playing a half dozen AAC teams, or even have 1 week where it's all crossover, if you can make that work. I think that gives them, again, another really good opportunity for just that resume builder to put. If you have a couple marquee teams, put some green marks on their resume, so when the committee goes into that room and they're looking to pick that one G5 team, I think it's great.
Well, they've already done it this year by rescheduling what they were used to get the Beavs and Cougs in. Depending on what happens there, do you take those games and maybe parlay them into some sort of an American partnership? Because, again, if you can get these teams within the American and the Mountain West to play each other, so you have a good gauge, like you're saying with the Liberty, there's no gauge for them, a good comparison for them. That would mean anything to both conferences.
Absolutely.
And I would be just as big as if there's an American team that's running the table there, they beat the Mountain West team and the other Mountain West teams as they compare to them, and they're the top dog. Great, let's do it. And that it's getting them to that level. And a chip in a chair, but let's make sure we're trying to get it in the right spot, which has always been my beef. Everybody knows I crapped all over Liberty last year, and that could be the one downfall here. If we're going to get teams that truly aren't, I'll say, deserving into that spot and crap all over themselves, that's not a good look. We want to force the committee into picking the best team because there's no other options. Forget the stupid record out of the Conference USA, or get this top American Mountain West team in there.
I agree.
Maybe Sun Belt, but
I agree 100%. I want to make two more quick comments. We've talked about Boise State. So let's say Liberty runs the table again. Liberty has an absolutely easy schedule this year, ridiculously easy. So they're 12-0. Let's say you get a Boise State who, let's say they go 11-1. They're Mountain West champions, and if we add that AAC game, let's say they have a win over an AAC team, and a win over Oregon State, Washington State. Compare that resume to a 12-0 Liberty who is beating Sister Mary of the Poor schools up and down.
I haven't heard that school in a while.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for you to pull that
exactly. I think it's a great resume builder, and I do want to say because we are. I know we're doing another pack episode here soon. We are both. We're on the pack. We're focused on them. I'm on record as a Beaver believer, so I got to figure out a new name with the Cougs because the other one didn't go so well. But
I liked it.
But anyways, I'm so excited. I just want to say this again. I am so excited for the Mountain West games versus the Pac-2 this year. I think it's going to be so much fun, and I know the Beaver fans, the Cougar fans are still hurting. What went down with the Pack over the last year, but for me, as a college football fan, because I don't really have a rooting interest in the Mountain West. I don't really have a rooting interest out there, but I'm just really excited as a college football fan to see these games, see them play against each other. I can't freaking wait until this year to see those games. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get that episode, the Pack episode out tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more about the TV deal that is yet to be finalized, but I think we're this close. We do have a little bit more information on that and just some other stuff with them. The last thing we'll mention here is Washington State's affiliate membership with the Mountain West for both baseball and women's swimming in mid-April, so a couple weeks ago, almost a month now, crazy, time flies. It was announced that Washington State will become an affiliate member of the Mountain West in baseball and women's swimming for both the 24-25 school year and the 25-26 school years. They will be eligible for postseason play and for all the awards in both of those sports. So they're a legit member in both of these. Baseball currently includes Air Force, Fresno State, Nevada, New Mexico, San Diego State, San Jose State, and UNLV. So adding Washington State makes it an 8-team league. Nice even number that I would think you'd want to be at. Then with the women's swimming, they will move up from 9 schools to 10. Again, nice even number there. Washington State actually sent 2 swimmers to the NCAA championships this past spring, or this past season, including Emily Lundgren, who received the program's first All-American citation since 2007.
Awesome, really awesome.
So they got some good swimming there in Cougar land. So I think that does it. Any last parting comments before we end this sucker out?
No, well, I'll just say again, just really excited for this year for the Mountain West. Honestly, I mean, we had a great season last year, and what better way to lead into this season for the Mountain West with a new expanded playoff? Just so much more to play for, in my opinion. So much excitement. There was a large turnover with coaches and all that, like the commissioner said, but the ADs have stayed in place. I think for the most part, these programs have continued to get stronger. And again, I didn't know much about the Mountain West until probably 3 or 4 years ago when you got me interested in them. But for me, every year we just kind of build, and I'm super excited for the Mountain West this year.
Well, a lot of new coaches, but I'll tell you, they got some good names coming into the Mountain West. The sky, I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but it, like you said, very exciting going into next season with the scheduling agreement, with things that Nevarez is having that CFP spot. I'm kind of repeating what you said, but I mean, you can't get much more excited if you're a Mountain West fan for next season. I would think. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'll keep talking about it till we finally get into August and start playing football, and then I'm going to go crazy because it's going to be fantastic. My wife's probably going to divorce me because I'll be watching Mountain West football every night. But anyway, hey, with that, we thank you guys for watching the Big Mountain. Make sure you give this one a like. Subscribe if you like our content. We do everything Mountain West, Big Ten. We've been on the pack. We do live episodes every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday at 8:30. We do like to focus those on the Mountain West and the Big Ten and have lots of good conversations, discussion with whoever's on with us, commenters. We love the back and forth. So if you're able to join us this Wednesday, 8:30, we'd love to see you there. With that, we'll see you guys next time on the Big Mountain.
The sky is the limit for the Mountain West.